Well, hey everybody, we're back again, and I've got my step notch kit here. I'm going to mark it for installation, and you can see that I've got it straddling the frame, and it's directly above the axle. I had a friend bounce up and down on the frame so I could check and make sure the travel was right. I want to make sure that this thing is centered up inside the C notch when I step notch it. Now those of you who are really observant will notice that I currently have the step notch kit sitting on there backwards. And these arms, these long arms, should actually be on the inside of the frame, spanning the distance between the upper and lower leg, if you will, of the frame. You can see that, this over here, whoops, there's my finger, this upper rail and this lower rail, we want to span that gap, and so we want to have the long leg there. So these are both sitting on there backwards. Well, the reason I did that was so that I could measure against the bump stops to make sure that I had everything centered. Well, what's funny is, and this is why it's always important to measure, is I measured from the tail of the frame all the way forward, and you can see that it looks right, of course, but if we go to the other side, you'll see there's actually an 1/8 of an inch difference, and that's because the bump stops are not mounted symmetrically on the frame. And I measured it, against each other, and there's just a slight difference in the measurement there. You see a little slightly larger gap on this side. And it's only because when it was installed in the factory, it's an 1/8 of an inch different. It really doesn't matter. Obviously, the bump stops work perfectly for 60 years. It's just that, in my case, I want to be a little more precise than that. So I'm going to cut those bad boys off anyway, so it doesn't really make any difference. So what we're going to do at this point, now that I've got it measured and marked, now I'm going to mark it. And so I'm going to take that and just put I'm a big fan of the Sharpie marker, and I'm going to mark exactly where that is. It's a little tricky to mark around the bump stop here, so I'm trying to get in there, and I can redraw that line later. And I'll go to the other side and do the exact same thing. Again, I've already measured these and made sure they're in place in the right spots, so we can mark exactly where that's going to go. Now, it is worth noting, you could scribe a line here. That would work very well, scratch it in there and etch it in. But for my purposes, this is going to work perfectly. I'll just line it up. And so what's going to happen then is this actually will go on like that. So if I line this A-frame up to what's there we go. Alright, I'll measure that again and double check it. But on the inside then, now you can see that we have that A-frame extending right down past the bottom rail. And so then I can mark that and cut it, and that way when I go to weld it all in place, everything's already going to be cut to the right measurement. We can get some really good weld, some good penetration into the metal, and we make sure that everything is exactly the way that we want it. So there you go, that's how we're going to do it, and the next step will be welding. Okay, so here we are. I've got the step kit all welded on there, and the welds look really nice. I'm very happy with that. There's a little bit of unevenness here and there, but overall I would call that a successful welding job. And I know I said I wasn't going to grind the welds, but I did over on the right hand side, and I just thought, it doesn't take that much effort, a couple minutes, and it'll help keep the water out and stuff too, just by cleaning that up. You can see I welded the bottoms. So the next thing to do here is going to be to cut this section out. I'm going to cut right here, and same thing on the other side. And I got to admit, I'm a little nervous about it. It always makes me just a little nervous doing that, but it's going to be good and strong. And once I get that center plate in there, it's going to be just beautiful. It'll be just perfect. So it's going to be great. No worries. So at any rate, hey, look, seriously, guys, a little bit of time, a little bit of measurement. Just take your time with it. If I can do it, you can do it. I don't necessarily have any mad skills. I just take my time and watch what I'm doing. Be careful with the welder, watch where your sparks are going, stuff like that. But as far as, the actual work goes, read your instructions. They're there for a reason. I know it's kind of a man thing not to do that, but seriously, they take the time to write them out. At least breeze over it. Get the basics down. You got a question, stop. Find a video like this. Find somebody who knows more than you do, and you can do that too. So this is going to allow lots of travel, no doubt. And once I get the weight on there, it'll ride exactly where I need it to. It's going to be awesome. So I'm looking forward to having it all done, but at any rate, that'll be the next step here. Oh, you gotta love the Sawzall blade. And that is how we do that. Gone and gone. Oh, does that look pretty? I like it. Very nice. Cut it out nice and straight. Good to go. Oh yeah. Just do the same thing on the other side. Okay, so I cut out the frame rail, as you remember, and I just took a piece of flat stock and cut it to the right length and trimmed a little round corner here to match the frame. And I've got it tacked in place on both sides, and it just fits in there nice and pretty like. And this is just going to add that last bit of reinforcement, that last bit of joining the new step with the old frame. And I'll just run a bead down there like that. And if we go over to the other side, you can see that I've already got that side welded in, and it looks real nice. And I'll probably hit it with a grinder real quick just to knock off any high spots and primer it up, and we'll be ready to roll. So we can really set this bad boy right down on the ground. It's going to look great. Take care, you guys. Be safe out there.